Van Halen are legends. They are rock and roll gods that went wilder than anyone else and influenced glam metal in extreme ways. There are very few guitarists of that decade that could ever dream of comparing themselves to Eddie Van Halen, and no other frontman had the charisma and insane cocaine-fueled power of David Lee Roth. Van Halen always introduced themselves with a massive bang. I mean, these guys had some of the most energetic and amazing live shows back in the late 70s and early 80s. Eddie dominated by shredding so hard it would blow your mind off, and David Lee Roth would be showered with bras and panties anytime he showed off his moves by jumping and spinning like no one else. Van Halen is the perfect example of what a glam band should look and sound like. They had all the colorful outfits and an over-the-top presence, but at least at their peak, their music never suffered because of it. I mean, the whole shredding trend in the 80s, with almost every hair metal song requiring a solo, was pretty much started by Van Halen, which is of course not to say that they started the glam genre or were the biggest influence on it. That's definitely not the case, but their impact was significant and would last for most of the 80s.
Van Halen's Monsters of Rock, the biggest concert event of this year, or any year. Saturday, June 11th, gates open at 11, show at 1 p.m. at JFK Stadium. Starring Van Halen, special guests, the Scorpions. Also starring Dokken, Metallica, and Kingdom Come. Tickets now at Ticketron, all authorized Electric Factory agencies, or charged by phone. Produced by Electric Factory Concerts. Van Halen's Monsters of Rock.
Eddie Van Halen was a master of the guitar, a legend, and his skills were honestly insane. You can hear and see the clear influence that Hendrix had on him, even if Eddie liked to badmouth every other guitarist for some reason, including Hendrix, which is something I never understood because to me, without Jimi Hendrix there would be no Van Halen or even heavy rock in general. But when he played, everyone was blown away by just how good and original it sounded. I mean, even from today's perspective, a lot of Van Halen songs still feel fresh and new. A lot of them don't sound dated or like they belong to the 70s and 80s. But then there was also David Lee Roth, who made sure nothing about them felt ordinary. The guy was a beast, and while Eddie gave the band the instrumental sound, David had the charisma, stage presence, and voice. Honestly, think about it, would the band ever have gotten as big and iconic if David hadn't been so wild, fun, and charismatic? Anytime he was on stage, he knew exactly what to do and how to keep the crowd entertained. But even in interviews, he always seemed like the most hilarious person in the room.
Hey man, don't be squirting water at me. I'm gonna f your girlfriend, pal.
Originally what we were gonna do is we were gonna turn all the equipment around backwards and show our behind to the audience, and that way everybody'd be backstage.
The 80s wouldn't have sounded the same without them. They were a bridge between the guitar-driven rock of the 70s and the glossier, arena-sized sound that came after. Bands learned from them and tried to steal their sound, but few could get it right. Van Halen made it look effortless, but it was built on hours of playing, experimenting, and pushing each other to a coke-fueled limit. It's also interesting that the band managed to stay on top and come back swinging even after David left. Personally, I don't mind the Van Hagar era. I think Sammy was an amazing musician, and he has a bunch of his own songs that are bangers in my opinion. He definitely poured a lot of his energy into the band, and it's a rare case where changing an iconic lead singer can actually work. He also did his best to make their shows as entertaining as possible. However, I do think that once David Lee Roth left, it was sort of the slow beginning of the end for the band. I mean, sure, they still had a lot of success with Sammy, and some of their best albums were made with him. But to me, what made Van Halen so great was always their vibe and David's charisma. Sure, Eddie's guitar was great and amazing, but having a frontman like David, those were far and few between, even if a lot of singers of the time liked to act as if they were better than him.
I think now's a good time on New Year's to decide whether you're going to be a hot dog or a little weenie. You can put on some Wagner or some Black Sabbath.
To me, Van Halen will always be one of the greatest bands in rock and roll history. These guys smashed into the genre harder than anyone else and gave us some of the best songs and albums ever made.